Loading Snacks.
What it do, Snackers, Snack X, and Snack X's? We're here at Blerdcon 2026. Blerdcon! Look, I happen to be here. That's that energy, right? You need that little energy boost? You know what I mean? Not that there's not plenty of energy here. Look, and with Malcolm Barrett, let's talk for a minute.
Sure.
This is your first Blerdcon?
This is my first Blerdcon.
All right, give me your first overall opinion of Blerdcon.
It's black and thick.
It is. It is indeed.
With 2 C's. It's real. It's very organized.
Yes. Black people organized.
No, it's great, man.
Okay.
It's fun. It's fun to see us being in our own spaces and taking them over and be comfortable.
Yeah.
And be weird and fun and knowledgeable and creative.
Yeah.
And all those things in one space is real fun.
As you coming here from the world of acting, right? You got a lot of roles under your belt. How'd you find out about this? How'd you end up here?
God damn, there's so much ass.
All the time. Everywhere.
Hope this helps the interview. What's your question?
Coming out of the acting world, right? Like, how did you find out about Blerdcon? Like, you.
Well, I'm just at a lot of conventions. I do a lot of sci-fi type stuff. You know, Better Off Dead, Timeless, where a lot of times I play the genius or whoever. So it just let me come into Comic-Con. I actually went to Comic-Con before I was heavily doing those things. I had a girlfriend at the time who took me to Comic-Con to see the movie stuff, to see the comic book stuff. And so, like, that was the first con I went to was Comic-Con in San Diego. And then so I just continue going to that, and then as you start to do one, you start to see more and more conventions come out. So then I heard about Blerdcon. I met Hilton at one of the other conventions. And then you start crossing paths with people with the same interests. And so that's how I wound up over here.
How's the reception been for you? People coming in.
So the reception has been really good. It's, you know, people, the thing about these spaces is that people who are fans are big fans. They're really emphatic, and they love to show out. So the reception here has been great. You know, there's not a lot of pretense around it, and folks just come up and say hey. You know, and I have one of those faces where they're like, I know you from the stuff.
I recognize you.
You know what I mean? So it's fun to be around that.
Having a shirt like you got on that says phenomenally blurred, have you always identified as a blerd, or do you know,
well,
are you in the comics?
Sure. I mean, it's a fairly new word in the culture, right? You know, growing up, you just were a nerd or whatever that was. You know what I mean? So, you know, I went to the super smart classes and that sort of thing. And I actually had a buddy, Torin Clark, who I was in elementary school with. And I remember there was a couple days or a couple weeks we were trying to work on doing comic book stuff and create our own characters. And nothing immediately came of that. But cut to, I'm in acting, and he wound up drawing comic books for Marvel, doing comics and things like that. So the stuff we did as kids wound up becoming
crossover.
Yes, it became the whole thing.
That's pretty dope. So look, again, being in a place like this, knowing that people get an opportunity to see somebody like you who represents somebody that looks like them, right? Was that ever a thing that you thought when you got into acting that would be an important thing, or does it like
100%? I mean, even before I was playing sort of more nerdy, smarter roles. You know, I'm from Bed-Stuy, I'm from the hood. I grew up, you know, broke and smart. And so even when I was playing, whether it be drug dealing type characters or street characters, it was always about having a three-dimensionality to all of those things, and making sure that they weren't just two-dimensional figures and that they meant something. And so it always meant something to me to be, even if I'm playing that type of role, to have heart, to have intelligence to it, to have reality to it. And now that I'm playing these characters, the same rule applies.
Do you feel like there was a shift in roles you could get as a black man earlier in your career compared to stuff like that now? Like, for a long time, I felt like they didn't generally cast us as a nerd or somebody who would be
my first 2 or 3 characters were drug dealer and basketball player. So and so it definitely was a thing. It felt like there was a shift. I mean, I felt like I was one of the first. You know, I was on Better Off Dead, and I felt like I was like the first one of the first premier prominent nerds since like Urkel.
Yeah.
You know, plus I like got booty.
Yeah.
So I was like, I felt like I was like doing, you know, new things in that space. So,
yeah.
You know, I hope to continue to be a part of the culture and continue to make the culture shift towards who we are and representing who we are as a people, but also in terms of not having to represent all of us every time we're on screen.
Right.
You know what I mean? In order to just be ourselves and not free ourselves from the shackles of what we look like in the greater society.
100%. Look, I'm not going to hold you, but if somebody happens to be missing out because they're not here at Blerdcon,
sure.
Right? But they want to follow your work.
Sure.
What's the best way for them to do that? Right?
You can follow me online. I'm Malcolm Barrett, or I'm verbally rapping on Instagram and things like that.
Yeah.
And, I guess that's where I am. I don't really know, man.
You just let that happen.
That's mostly where I am. You can find me on television.
I dig it. Listen, man, I greatly appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look, we got a few more things we got to go do. We're going to go do those things. We'll get back at you till we lose.
Loading Snacks